All right, boys, so I'm an author. I wrote a book, and in this video, I want to talk about the book that I wrote that took me several months. That has some personal stories, and I actually want to show it on screen right here. You can see it right here. I want to go through some of my book and just kind of talk about it, and yeah, just kind of give you information because I want you to become a steadier trader, and I also kind of just want to connect with you personally and tell you about some personal stories about how I grew my net worth and how I've been trading for the past 10 years and like the type of jobs that I've had, my philosophy, and some quotes that I have in the book. I just feel like some of the quotes are really cool. So I want to read them to you, and the book is the first link in the description. For now, it's still an ebook. It's super cheap. It's the price of 2 coffees. So it's like getting a Starbucks for 2. It's like 2 Frappuccinos, maybe less than 2 Frappuccinos actually. So yeah, if you end up getting the book, there's also a special offer inside, but I'm going to leave that as a surprise. Okay, I'm not telling you what's inside there. But all right, so the steadiest option trader: how to build a consistent income trading safely, from an ex Goldman Sachs. I have to flex that. I'm sorry, people get upset, but I work there and I have a lot of experience there, and it gives me credibility for anyone that's new. Like, I had a job there. I had an internship there, though. I did not have a job out of college that was a full-time position. Honestly, I don't want to have a full-time position in finance. Finance is not fun. It's not fun at all. You have a boss, and I don't care if you work at Goldman Sachs, because people think you have it all made when you work at Goldman Sachs. And sure, those guys can make a lot of money, but I was making like $75,000 a year, it was in 2016, so this was not too bad, but still, I worked because I was in Los Angeles, I had to work from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., and it's such a toxic culture. Like, people want you to be in the office super early, and the earlier you show up, the cooler you are. Like, you really care about your job. Like, dude, I don't give a shit. I'm here to make money. Like, I don't care. People are like, oh, you have to show up early. You have to be the first one to come in and the last one to leave. It's like, I just want to get my work done and get the results. Why do I have to work longer than everyone else? What kind of ridiculous culture is that? Anyways, long story short, I got a lot of experience there, but I would not want to work there. I got everything that I wanted, and now I can teach you. Here's a table of context of the book. So kind of goes over where I began and why I decided to choose like the safe way. I was a typical gambler. Like, when you go to, I don't drink, I don't smoke, but if you go to, like you see in the movies, if you go to Alcoholics Anonymous, they're like, the first sentence they say is like, I have a problem. And they admit to their problem or something, right? They're like, I drink. What do they say? I don't even know. Leave me a comment. Like, what do people say in those types of meetings? I kind of forget. Anyways, they admit to something, right? And I have to admit that, I had that type of chaser mentality. I wanted to be rich, and I was tired of being poor, and I was tired of my parents controlling me, right? Like, my mom and dad, they came from Eastern Europe, and basically they had a very broke person's mentality. Like, everything is scarcity. My dad's actually has a kind of like, he likes to hoard things. He doesn't like use them. So I bought him a tennis racket for his birthday, but he's not really using it. I'm like, Dad, I'll just buy another racket. He's like, no, it's the last racket in the world. Because that's, how the Soviet Union was. There was a huge lack, and that's how communism is, right? So anyways, I was trying to get out of my situation because I was living with my parents. I wanted to kind of move out and live by myself. And obviously that costs money. And then if you want to date, you need money. And if you want to eat properly and have a car, you need money. So for me, my whole life honestly revolved around money for about the first 25 years of my life. And I thought that money solves all your problems and it makes you happy. That's not true, but hey, money certainly helps, and it does make you happier, and it can solve problems, but money can't solve all your problems. Obviously, there's still health and relationships and other things that even a billionaire has problems with, right? So I decided to gamble at first. My first 3 years sucked. Like, my first 3 years, I was looking at Carl Icahn, David Einhorn, all these, the Big Short guy, Michael Burry, like those Cathie Wood equivalents. But guys, those guys are morons, okay? They're not morons at marketing and taking rich people's money and then getting fees off their money. They're really smart people, but they're not like crazy investors in some ways. Like, honestly, sometimes they get crazy results and sometimes they don't get crazy results. So it's kind of like a coin flip. In fact, if I had like 100 monkeys and they all flipped a coin, 50 monkeys would be right. And then if those 50 winners flipped on another coin, 25 of those 50 monkeys will also win. So out of 100, those 25 monkeys will be right 2 times in a row. So they're going to look like geniuses. And then if those 25 monkeys flip on another quarter, hey, it's 12 and a half, but say 12. And then those flip another quarter, it's 6, right? So 6 out of 100 monkeys will be right so many times in a row that they can also turn $100,000 into like 10 million, right? Because they bought some crazy options and they took excessive risk. Are those 6 monkeys smart, or are they just lucky? Well, that's kind of how I view a lot of these really, billionaires in terms of investing. They're kind of like monkeys, but in terms of raising capital and Cathie Wood convincing you that she's a genius and knows everything and, knows the next innovative stock. Come on, guys, that's some nonsense, all right? So nobody knows the next innovative stock. They're just gambling, and one year she had a crazy return, and the next year she lost a bunch of money. But both years she collected tons of fees, okay? So long story short, don't follow the hype. Just kind of stick to the most boring, consistent stuff. So that's kind of like what I learned. I didn't have good results. I was following those people, and I didn't get any results. And I was like, why am I not getting results? Eventually I got a job at Goldman Sachs, and I learned about selling put options, covered calls, which, by the way, you have to check out that video. I just talked about covered calls. I started doing the more boring stuff, and I started getting more consistent results, and I also started feeling better. So I was like, you know what? What's the point of being on a roller coaster when I can just make consistent income? So anyways, I talk a lot about being the casino, and I do talk about buying options as well a little bit, but most of it is around covered calls, the cash flow machine, spreads, managing and closing as well. That's super important. Okay, and then keeping track of all your trades. So, here's some of my quotes that I kind of came up with. So options aren't for gamblers, they're for sophisticated investors to make more money safely. Actually kind of makes me kind of think, why do so many people, they always say like the most millionaires are made in real estate. I know that's true, but it's also because I feel like more people are doing real estate, and more people know that real estate is like a surefire way to wealth. And it is a surefire way to wealth, but it also has a higher amount of people trying it, whereas option trading has a very low amount of people trying it. So I bet if the roles were reversed and a lot of people were trading options, and they knew how to like sell options, then that would also be the case that most millionaires would be made from options. But if no one tries it, then of course option trading is not going to make the most amount of millionaires, and that's because not that many people do it. But the people that are doing option trading are pretty wealthy, especially if they've been doing it for a while. Especially like if you go to the Hamptons, which I've never been, but I know from my office when I was working on the New York Stock Exchange, I was working at this company called Group 1 Trading, and I was right in front of the bull. So I would touch the bull's balls every single day because I thought it was good luck. So on my way to work, a lot of these traders, they had houses in the Hamptons, or they knew someone that did. And if you ask them, those Hamptons people, like, what do you do? Like, they typically work in finance. Typically it's investment banking, or it's option trading, or it's financial advising, and financial advisors are mostly salespeople. Again, I'm being transparent and as clear as possible on this YouTube channel. I wanted to be a financial advisor, and I was going to study for my Series 6 and my Series 70, whatever it is, right? I don't even remember. And I did meet some really cool financial advisors. I met one that was managing money for NBA players. They're just making cold calls most of the time, and they're putting their clients' money into ETFs, which, hey, don't get me wrong, I love ETFs and I promote ETFs. In fact, in my Discord community, I always talk about trading SPY and Triple Q. We're always doing spreads on them. If you have a small portfolio, we're doing covered calls and sell puts for medium and large account portfolios. So look, I like ETFs, but those financial advisors just put all of your money into an ETF. So anyways, as you can see here, and I just realized that I'm gonna take a picture of this so I can show you right now. It's on screen. But basically, for me, it's for sophisticated people. And I don't mean you have to be a genius. I just mean like you have to realize that this is one of the best opportunities that you can take in your life. Like option trading along with real estate, which is a lot of work, right? I'm just trying to think. Those are the two best opportunities. Third best opportunity is start a YouTube channel, but it is quite hard. And I did YouTube for like 9 months before I made anything off of it. And that was not really my goal, but it's a cool byproduct. So those are the three things. You become an online personality / influencer, option trade, or real estate. Obviously, there's active income sources like software engineering, doctor, lawyer, etc. But all those take a long time too. So for me, like if you do option trading pretty early and you just keep snowballing this thing, it's going to be like the best investment that you ever make. And so many people are really short-term minded. They're like, what can I make today? I get it. We have families to feed. People have debt to pay. They have mortgages. But if you just slow down and, obviously I get it, there's expenses. But if you think about the long term, if you trade options, it's literally going to add up to I want to say hundreds of thousands of dollars. I wanted to say tens of thousands of dollars because, you know, some people never truly get to the six-figure mark. They're struggling. But if you're a normal person, and I mean like you actually put in the work and you're not really dumb with your money and you're not spending more than you make and you're saving it and you're not living above your means, it's going to be hundreds of thousands of dollars, especially as you get into the later years of your life, because your portfolio is going to push seven figures. It's not a if, it's just when. Like, kind of crazy to think about it, and it's kind of sad at the same time because I'm young now and I'd rather be young and have whatever, a couple $1 million, but one day I'm probably going to be old and have tens of millions of dollars, and I don't really want those tens of millions of dollars. I'd rather be right now, stay young and never make a penny again. But the point of the matter is, as time goes on, money scales and money compounds, and $10 million won't be that much in 20 years. I mean, it will be, but 10 million might feel like 3.5 million today, or, you know, 4 million today, something like that. So the point I'm trying to get at is you're all going to be millionaires eventually, especially if, you know, you still have about a decade left in your investing career, or 2 decades, right? You're going to be able to scale up and compound your money, and compound interest is like what Einstein said to be one of the strongest forces in the world, right? So compound interest, and also leverage, right? Didn't someone say that they can pick up the world with like a long enough crane? I don't know, engineering. I went to engineering school, by the way, at Drexel, and I studied biomedical engineering because my goal was to be a doctor, and you can see how that went out, right? So anyways, so yeah, my book kind of goes over lots of different things. At first, it just kind of talks about my story. It talks about why I'd rather make $300 to $500 a day than $3,000 one day and like losing $2,000 the next. So yeah, again, I actually had an opportunity to work for SIG, which is called Susquehanna International Group. I turned them down because I already had an opportunity to work in option trading before, but that was one of my dream jobs and I turned it down. So kind of a story there. Anyways, this book is super awesome. I highly recommend it. It's the price of not even 2 Frappuccinos. So I think it's one of the best books for learning option trading from the ground up, from really understanding. I talk about just strategies, and the book, I try to make it as interesting as possible, because if you look at other option trading books, gosh, I went through an option trading book. I actually had to read a big, thick book. It was like hundreds of pages when I first got my job, and honestly, I like investing, I like trading, I have a finance degree. And after page 50, I just couldn't understand anything. So I try to dumb this book down. It's kind of like option trading for dummies with some examples, but I want to make it as simple as possible, because I literally want everyone to understand that wherever you are in your journey, whether you don't even understand basic math or you're an engineer, this book is for you. It's going to help you understand how to trade options properly, the foundation, the fundamentals, and yeah, just kind of share a lot of things that have helped me manage and close positions. So there you have it. Check out the link in the description, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.